Hey, what's up guys? This is Spencer from Pixel. Hello? Yeah, no, I'm doing a tutorial right now. Yeah, well, a flat design phone icon. Yeah. No, I didn't say call me on the phone. You know, I'm doing a tutorial on a phone. Yeah, oh, no, that's okay. No, totally fine. Yeah, no. Like and subscribe. Sure. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. This is the flat design phone mock-up we're gonna do today. It's simple, it's pretty basic. We got a little bit of a hint of a shine on it and some shadow there. So let's go ahead and get started. It's pretty easy, really. When you break it down, it's just some simple shapes. I'm gonna start a new document so we can start this thing from scratch. It's gonna be 1920 by 1080, only because it's just a pretty standard size. All right, so we need to make a rectangle. That's pretty easy, right guys? So if we go over to the rectangle tool, the shortcut key for that is M. We can just create a rectangle. This is gonna be the shape of our phone. Phones are a lot more vertical than I thought they were, so maybe something like this is gonna work. We're just guessing. And then in the appearance panel over here, anywhere you find fill and stroke, we gotta adjust these. I'm gonna do no stroke. So I'm actually just gonna maybe put a 0 into this box here, hit enter, and it's gonna put a slash to that stroke, so we have no more stroke. On the fill, I want it to be black, but I actually don't want it to be the starkest of blacks. So I'm going to go up to the color tab, which you can go up to the window drop down to color, F6 to pop that out. If I click on my fill and select it as the primary color that we're editing, and then double click on it, this is just my favorite little color picker, right? If I drag this circle over to the left, I'm not gonna have any color in it, it's just gonna be black and white. Now another thing I like to look at when I'm over here is this little B right here. It's kind of a trick for me. This means like 85% black, so it's sort of the reverse of what we're looking at. It's as if it's 15% white is applied to this. So what we're gonna do here is maybe set the phone color to something like 10% right here, and that's gonna be like a 90% black. That was a lot of explaining for that little piece, but that's the way I like to think about it when I select blacks and stuff. So now we have this rectangle in our phone shape. If you have Adobe Illustrator CC 2015 or later, you're gonna have the corner widget, which is in the view drop down to hide or show corner widget. We have it shown currently, so we see these little dots in the corners of our rectangle. If we just click that dot and pull it in, it's gonna round our corners. I'm gonna round them to be maybe about 27 pixels, something like that. Something just to have slightly rounded corners, maybe a little bit more. Maybe we'll do something like 30-ish. And we can actually set that in our properties panel in the transform dialog box, which once again, you can also find in the window drop down. If you find transform, it's gonna pop that out in its own dialog box. We have all the advanced properties shown. It might require you to click on the hamburger menu, but once you're down here, check this out. There's corners, and we can actually set the corner radius to a specific number. So I could do 30, as long as this is linked, they will all change as soon as I click out of that. So I'm gonna minimize this, and we have a rounded rectangle. So this is starting to look more and more like a phone. Let's add the screen with another rectangle, right? So we're just gonna create something in the center of this guy, giving us a little space for the bezels. Doesn't really matter, just create a rectangle right there. We're gonna adjust the fill of it, make it something like let's just go with white for now. And then back up to the selection tool, shortcut key is V. Okay. Let's center this first. So I'm gonna select both of these, and then I'm going to click on my black phone rectangle. From here, I'm gonna find my alignment panel, which is down to the right, but first up in the window, drop down to align. You can pop that out if you can't find your panel. Now, since we clicked on this and it's highlighted in a double blue stroke, we can actually align to it. So we're going to align horizontal and vertical just to get that rectangle right in the center. Once we do that, we're pretty good to go. I'm going to decrease the bezel on the left and right just by increasing the width of our rectangle. And I can hold Alt or Option to increase it from the center out, which allows us to keep it in the center and increase the width on both sides at the same time. Now this time I'm going to maybe give us a little bit more bezel on top and bottom just by clicking on the top and decreasing the height of this, holding Alt and Option as well, just to give us a little bit more up here and down below. And at this point, if it's starting to look like an iPad mini, not a phone, what we can do is just go to the, well actually since we don't have any shapes that matter as far as the skewing of it, we can just select both and we can do the same thing. We can pull in an edge just to decrease the width of our entire phone and create more of a phone shape, right? Phones are way more vertical than I thought they were. All right, so now we're gonna do the button on the bottom. With the rectangle tool, once again, we can click and hold that and find the ellipse tool. The shortcut key for that is L. If I hold Shift and Alt or Option, I can create a circle from the center out, just like so. We wanna create a circle that's not too large that it can fit down here below in that bottom bezel. This circle, we want him to be filled with black. I'm gonna go up to my color panel. Remember F6 to pop that out. I finally remembered that. All right, so color picker, let's go down here. Remember how we picked a color that was, let's see, I don't know what we picked. Did we pick 10 for that? So for this one, maybe we're gonna do 5. We want it to be darker than the phone itself. So now that we have that, we're going to select this and maybe drag it over the top of this phone. You see this little pink line? That's a smart guide. Smart guides are pretty helpful to align your objects together. Underneath the view drop down, we can turn on smart guides if they're not already on by clicking smart guides right there. Okay, so we've got the button down there. I think the background color of our phone is a little too dark, so I'm going to click on it again. Double click that, and then instead of like 8 or 9%, we're gonna do something like maybe 13%, see where that ends up. Once we do that, we can actually see this other circle a little bit better. Now I need to center him between these 2 points here, right? Just on this bottom bezel. But this whole shape isn't gonna help me. So I'm gonna create a new shape that's gonna be sort of like a guide, just with the rectangle tool. I do this all the time. I'm gonna line it up here so that it's linked into where the path, you see the path right there, it's gonna intersect that. And then I'm gonna create just a rectangle that hits the bottom of our phone. So we've got it there. I'm gonna just slide this over to green so we can see it. And now I know, hey, that's not a piece of my artwork here. Okay, so I'm gonna click on this circle, hold Shift, click on this green rectangle, let go of Shift and click on the green rectangle again. Now we're aligning to that key object. We find our alignment panel, window drop down if you need it, and vertical line center. It's gonna bring that circle down, and then we already lined it up to the center of everything with our smart guide earlier, so it's right here in the center. I'm actually gonna bring this guy up to the top because I know this top part is the same size, and I need to get it locked in there. If I'm a little worried about that, I can just go ahead and decrease the size of it and increase the size until it locks into the top of our phone. Same thing here, till it locks into the top of our screen portion. And I can keep this rectangle right in here for now because we gotta create the, actually I don't really know what this is. What is it, a speaker and a camera and all the gizmos and gadgets up here? So we're gonna do that with the line segment tool. So click on the line segment tool, it's a little slashy button, and we're going to create a line. I'm going to hold Shift to make sure it is perfectly horizontal. We're going to let go right there. All right, so it's given me no stroke and no fill. So I need to add a stroke to this, and this stroke should be the same color as this guy down here, which, as we recall, if we just click on a color, as we recall, it was about 5% black, I think. So if we go back up to our color panel, click on the stroke, and then double click on it, we can bring this over here and set our B here, our black, to 5%. Hit OK, and now we have a tiny little stroke there. I'm gonna just guesstimate here maybe 5 pixels or 5 points. You guys can choose whatever size you want, whatever looks the best for your phone. I'm going to go back to the stroke settings here by clicking on stroke and going to round the caps. That just creates a nicer finish, a little cleaner look. Okay, we're going to go back to the selection tool. I've got my little speaker here. We're going to center it on the phone by clicking both, or shift clicking both the speaker and the phone. And then we're going to click on the phone, and that's going to highlight it again. And we're going to use the horizontal align center to center that. And it looked like it was already in there, so that's good. Now we want to center it on this little guide here. So I'm going to shift click on both of these and then let go of shift and click on our guide. A lot of aligning to key objects. So this time we're going to align the vertical to put it right in the center of this top bezel. Now that we have that in there, we're pretty good. So we can delete this guide piece just by clicking and hitting the delete key. And let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. That was Command or Control plus and minus to zoom in and out. And then hold shift, hold space bar to get the little hand tool so you can move around. Okay, so this might be a little bit wide. I'm gonna click on it and then hover over this point, click on that anchor point, hold Option or Alt and Shift to kind of drag it in and out. You see how we can just skew it in and out like that? So I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller, maybe like that. Okay, so we need the little camera and then maybe a little dot up here for whatever that is on your phone. All right, so let's create a little circle. I'm gonna create it with the ellipse tool, shortcut key L, hold shift and alt or option to create a circle from the center out, maybe something like that. And now, because we had this selected last, it went ahead and did the stroke for me. I can actually flip these with this little swap fill and stroke icon. That's Shift X as a shortcut key. And so it's gonna take that stroke color and just make it the fill color and no stroke. It's gonna just swap them, right? Exactly what it says. Okay, so now we need this little circle to maybe be a little bit left of our speaker, like there. And then I'm gonna hold shift and click on the speaker. So I got them both selected and then let go of shift, click on the speaker, align to key object. You know the drill. All right, vertical align center, boom, right there. Right there like that, that's pretty good. And then I can actually duplicate this guy by clicking on him, holding Alt or Option, and I'm not zoomed in enough, like barely to select that. So this is where like Command plus, Control plus, zooming in is gonna be helpful because now it's not getting messed up with the edges of my shape. So I can hold Alt or Option and duplicate this guy out. Let my smart guides tell me where the center is. It's somewhere right there. And then once I do that and let go, I'm gonna grab this top corner, start skewing it, hold shift to keep it in proportion, and then hold Alt or Option to keep it from the center out. And this guy's pretty small, so we're gonna make him kind of tiny like that, but maybe not smaller than my line down here. So something like that works. So let's zoom out and see where we're at. Let's zoom out and see where we're at. That's pretty decent, really. What we can do now is maybe change the color of this shape. So this is our screen, right? And it looks right now like it sees through to the back of our page. So let's change first off, let's change the opacity. So if we go to the Appearance tab, which is of course in the window drop down if you need it, we change the opacity to something like 50%. That's gonna pull a little bit of the darkness of the rectangle underneath through it. So now we have sort of like a gray screen. I liked adding just a little bit of color into it, I think. So if we go back to our color panel, remember F6 is the shortcut key, and double click on that fill. Maybe we want just like, I don't know, just a little bit of color, right? And this is sort of like a little bit of red, orangish that I'm adding to it. Not much. You see the difference here? This is before, this is after. I'm gonna hit OK, and it's just a little something adding in there. All right, so that's pretty good. We got the screen color in there, and we can always adjust that, you know, however you want, right? I'm just showing you how to do this. You guys can adjust and make your own phone in whatever way you want. So let's go ahead and do the reflection up here. That's the right word for it, not shine, it's the reflection. All right, so I think the easiest way maybe here is to go grab the pen tool. Shortcut key is P. I'm gonna create a point out here. I'm gonna create a point somewhere randomly over here, and then we're gonna create a point down here. And this is gonna dictate where it crosses over. So I want it to maybe be like just this upper left-hand corner right in there. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is close up this path. So not anything too complex with the pen tool. Didn't even hold shift. I just clicked 3 points and made a triangle. Now I'm gonna go back to the selection tool. This time we're gonna select everything by clicking and dragging over everything. And now you see where that reflection is gonna be. We use that shape builder tool, Shift plus M, hold Option, and my little cursor is going to switch from a plus to a minus, and we can just click on this outer shape, right? So that got rid of that. We can go back to the selection tool. We can change the color of this to maybe just a full white if we want, just like that. And then the opacity, we can take that down. I don't really know what it should be, maybe 5%. Yeah, we don't want much, just like 5% or so. Okay, we're pretty much there. What we need is maybe a background and a shadow, okay? So what I'm gonna do is just create a rectangle. The shortcut key for that is M. It's right here, by the way. We've used it all throughout this tutorial. I'm gonna kind of create something like a background, right? So this rectangle is gonna scale the entirety of my background artboard, and then I'm gonna change the color of it. I think I like blue, like we did in the thumbnail. So we're gonna double click on this fill, and then I like it maybe something like, or no, wait, was it blue or green? I don't remember now. Let's make it green. Something like this. It's gonna be like a little minty green. Hit OK, something like that, yeah. Okay, now this shape is on top of everything, so we're gonna click on it, right click, arrange, send to back. Now you can use that shortcut key like I do, or you can just right click. Okay, once we have it in the back, an easy way to lock in backgrounds is to click on them and use Command or Control 2 to lock it in. You can also go up to Object, down to Lock, to lock whatever object is selected. Now we need to add the shadow. And I used to do this with the blend tool, but I'm not doing that anymore. I don't like it. Let's just do something pretty easy with the pen tool. So grab the pen tool. Gonna kind of hit on wherever the corner of this phone is, somewhere in here. And then I'm gonna hold Shift, and you see that we're doing like a 45-degree angle down here. I'm gonna go off the artboard and click spacebar to sort of move my screen down a little bit. I'm gonna go 45 from this guy as well down here, so it's past where I think 45 would hit coming down from the other corner. So maybe like down here. Okay, so now we have that piece. And what I need to do now is get off the pen tool by hitting V. That's the shortcut key for the selection tool. Click off of it, and I'm gonna do another shape or another line here. So P for the pen tool once again. Go to this corner, click. That's my first anchor point. Hold Shift, and I'm gonna go past my shadow right here. Boom, just like that. So now I have that line. That's all I really needed. Back to the selection tool, shortcut key V. Select both of these objects and utilize the shape builder tool. Got it? Okay, so I want to slice off this portion. So hold Option or Alt, switch that to a minus, click. Okay, so it's gone right there. And now that I have an anchor point right here, what I can do is actually just get rid of this little line. It was almost like just a guide. I can delete him. And now this shape has the anchor point I need right here. So I'm gonna switch to the direct selection tool to just grab this one anchor point, and we're gonna move him. And if I don't hold Shift, I can move him anywhere. So I gotta hold Shift to keep him at 45, and he should line up right with the corner of this phone, right there. Okay, that's one way to do it. There's about a million other ways to do it, but hey, that's one way to do it. Okay, so this guy, we need like a shadow color, obviously, but I wanna do like a gradient here. So I'm going to find my gradient tool, maybe just by going up to Window, down to Gradient. That's the gradient panel. And if I just click on this gradient slider, it's gonna apply a gradient, okay? I need this to be from black to black, not from white to black. So I'm gonna double click on this color, select that black. I'm also gonna double click on this color and select the same black just to make sure we have the same black. Now this end point here is gonna be an opacity of 0. So we're going from black to black, but from 100% to 0% opacity. I can click out of that box to apply that. Now the other thing we need to do is adjust the angle of our gradient. I can do that by grabbing the gradient tool, which is right over here. The shortcut key for that is G. And now I can actually see where this gradient is applied from left to right. Everything is left to right. So I could click up here, hold, and drag my gradient down, which the latest update has this awesome preview feature. It's pretty cool. All right, and I hold Shift. Well, I actually doesn't lock it into 45 degrees, that's a missed opportunity by Adobe. Okay, so you can just kind of eyeball your 45 degree angle here, right? And I think I'm gonna have this go off the artboard just barely. Just something like that. Okay, so let me just show you here. You can adjust where this falls off by using this little slider right here to adjust where the, or how steep or how quickly it goes from 100% opacity to 0% opacity. And then the other thing we of course can do, if we go back and maybe zoom out a little, we can click on this entire shape and we can adjust the opacity of it, which we'll need to, maybe down to like 25%. Okay, we don't want that full-blown shadow. Last thing we need to do here is send it to the back. So we're going to right click on it, go down to arrange, send it to back. Okay, now it's behind my background, so we need to bring it forward one spot. So right click, oops, click on it, right click, arrange, should be bring forward, not bring to front, bring forward. And now we're on top of the background. Now I actually would rather this have affect the background a little bit differently than just the opacity of the black. So what we can do is click on our little opacity tab. Now this is going to be under window appearance if you can't find it or you don't have it over there in the properties panel. And on this we need to look at the fill opacity. We need to click on that opacity. Once we do that, we can actually select a blending mode here. And the blending mode I think I'm going to pick is soft light. And then it looks like it got rid of it, but just hang on a second. So we can go out of this, back out of this, back out of this. Okay, it's there just a little bit. We might need to pump that up a little bit more. And it looks like we sort of messed up the opacity here, which is fine. What we can do is open that window appearance panel back up, and we can adjust it here. So the opacity is actually here. We sort of screwed it up, but that's fine. This appearance panel is going to show you everything. So I'm going to click on this opacity, and we can bring this up to something like 50%. And that's going to help pull this shadow out a little bit more on our, whatever our background is. It's going to kind of, you see how it sort of tweaks the color a little bit more than just the darkness of the black gradient does. Okay, I think we did it, right? And then we can sort of, we can grab all this, we can right click it, and we can group it together. Now that it's grouped together, no matter what I click on here, it's all gonna move together. Okay, so you can do this with or without the shadow. You could just grab the whole phone, and then you'll have the phone as a single group that you can move around on your document. Well, that's it, you guys. I think I taught you everything I meant to teach you. I don't know. This was way longer than I anticipated. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions about it, let me know. This flat design stuff, really, it's just looking at whatever your thing is, and then breaking it down into the most simple elements that you can. And you know, you can add more strokes to this. You can add a gradient to the button to make it look a little bit more realistic. But it depends on what level of realism you're going for. To me, flat design, it's all about communication. If I can do that in a single color shift or color change with two shapes laying on top of each other, and now that circle is a button instead of, you know, having to do an outline and a gradient and all that, then that's what I like to do. That's a personal preference for me. So I hope you guys learned a lot in this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more tips and tutorials and all that stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.